Before we went for a break, I wanted just to have a rejoinder. Victor, you were questioning about the impeachment. And I always give a fair assessment to a situation. I think the issue that is on us passion here is the presidency. These two were elected as a pair. And therefore, there needs to be interrogation of the office. All right? There are a number of issues that have been raised to the persona and to the office of the deputy president. And some of it are matters that require investigation. And authorities, like you've seen, those that you've mentioned as part of his allies, have been invited to give their statements to the Directorate of Criminal Investigation. I think, as a Kenyan, I would be very worried about different hypotheses that are being built, different theories, especially when people are calling to account on how the Gen Z movement was sponsored by who and who. There have been faltering, there have been differing opinion on in regards to who sponsored that particular protest. Victor. So, in one end is internally sponsored, in one end is externally sponsored. Yeah. So I am a Kenyan looking at the real investigation and the outcome. But what I have been treated to as a Kenyan is a political mudsling, is a process that we don't know until it's concluded. So I am for the opinion that as a Kenyan, just like I've said in my opening statement, it is time that the judiciary and the judicial process is going to be tested. What happens to the impeachment portion? What happens? How does it happen for the first time? The precedent that it will cause and setting a pace for other previous impeachment motions. I think this is one of the things that is quite interesting to say. The other one is what you've said, Victor. What happens if not? And this is why I said probably a poison chalice. What happens? Would this bolster the deputy president now as a political figure? Right? The man is reading a script from the president. This is what was going on. And when you flashed a picture about prayers, I mean, Victor, I hope that you would go into the library of KBC and produce the headlines that were there in the run-up to election. Yes. Then you would see the similar pictures of prayer. You see the similar pictures of rallies. You see the similar picture of everything from the president. So I am a Kenyan. I am interested. If we have a debate of impeachment, that debate must be very holistic. Yes. We must interrogate the entire office, not only an individual, with the merits. And I'm happy Wakil is here to give us an understanding of what then is the outcome of proper investigation and how that is spelled to Kenyans beyond a political process that we are seeing.
Just to be fair to Wakili Keith, he's not part of the investigating.
No, I'm saying from a legal practitioner.
No, is he going to initiate? Who's going to initiate the investigation?
Or maybe he's planning to initiate one. Wakili, what a better way to welcome you to the show. Karibu. Are you investigating something?
Well, many things, but not this one.
Okay. It's good to be clear. Welcome to the program.
Asante sana.
Okay, I'll come back to you shortly. So look at it, Daktari. I mean, the whole thing is here. The issue of title deed.
Me, what I have and what everybody else knows about this country, you know, title deeds, title deeds is just a sample of the level, you know, the level of corruption in our country, Kenya, the quote-unquote permissiveness of power, like my person is in power, and I'm not quoting anybody in mind, but my person is in power, I can get away with everything. How about those talking of the stolen, that is one of the ways of trying to actually get them, according to me. I want to speak as a psychologist, I want you to allow me for a moment, but those talking at title deeds, I don't know how many, 3 what? They have been lost.
7.
How about they are somewhere and, you know, there's a way you can say this thing is lost. So that when you see things, if they get thick, they'll be found. If they don't get thick, they're not going to be found. How about that is one way of testing the waters for those chunks of land to be taken away, whatever, by whoever has that scheme in it. So my thinking is that is just a sample. The title disappearing is one of the indicators We have many indicators of corruption in this country, and that is one of them. But my prayer is, let us not play a rough game on our people who have invested in their properties, especially the old. Let us be fair. Let us be at a point that life is not about acquiring. Life is about coexisting in peace, coexisting in a manner that we are different, we accept each other's diversity, and still coexist, because we belong not only as being human beings, but we also belong in a country that we need to be fair to each other. So my plea is, if the title deeds are not very far, please just give those people their land. Yeah.
Who said that everything is vanity? Was it Paul or somebody in the Bible?
I think that is true. But if we can, you know, the way we are taking tea here and we are coexisting, and then we are like, oh, Wakili, how are you? You've come, what's happening? I was in the jam and now I'm here. Are you seeing? And then we are fine, give him a cup of tea. And, you know, that's a quality life. But now, if we want to test our quality life, to quantify it in the amount of what you have become after being next to power, of being in power, does not give you inner peace. Exactly. And I think we do not know how to drive inner true peace in ourselves.
Okay. Wakili, there is a story here, just to be fair to you. Looking at the front page, stolen title deeds, mystery, depends. Again, the issue here is some of them are being supervised by the State House. That is the story here. 7 of them are gone. Front page of the Star newspaper, UDA, Wiper, operating illegally, according to the audit. Only ODM has branches across the counties. So according to the auditor, the two parties are operating illegally. And lastly, on the front page of the Standard newspaper, MPs to Ruto, DP must be sent home. That is what is here on the 3 pages. Perhaps a minute to start with you, to be fair as well.
Well, let me start with the title deeds, because that's our forte in legal practice. Then we come to the politics. You see, at the advent of this country, we did not have anything called title deeds. We lived as a community. We never commercialized land. Land was held communally. But then the white man, and to, I think, our naivety, we agreed to commercialize land. And therefore, land is the most emotive issue in this country, away from politics, for the reason that no man shall live in the air or water or whatever. He must live in land. It doesn't matter how many people are born today. It doesn't matter how many we multiply ourselves in terms of numbers. We must live on land. The access to anything, including investment, is a component of land as a primary factor of production. And therefore, the existential threat to man is when land is threatened in the first place. Today, we have wars. Russia, Ukraine, in the Middle East, on account of land. So the issue of land does not end up today. But by the way, even the history of Bible is replicated with the issue of land and promised land and Canaan, and even the politics of today, we talk of promised land, whatever that is. I've never been there anyway. So the point is, if you commercialize land, because other African countries haven't commercialized land, if you don't put proper structures where you manage land, then it is a problem, and it can be chaotic, like it is today. What happens at lands is that there's a lot of brokerage, lots of it. Brokerage from every corner you turn. Now, the reason is because those that have gone to school are illiterate and literate. All of them know what to do with land. A person can market land to you, doesn't belong to him, parcel it out, give you title deeds, and other title deeds, and other title deeds. The registrars have now been left out. The surveyors at the Survey of Kenya have not been left out. So it's a whole system of Kenyans fighting for this resource called land. But eventually, what happens is because we have commercialized land. If you have land, you have wealth in this country. The more land you have, the more wealth you have. And you could have anything, but if you don't have land, your wealth will be threatened. We know we have these virtual things called shares, stocks, and everything. They go up and down. And COVID comes, and any pandemic comes, or a war comes, or whatever threat comes, you lose it. Land always appreciates.
Okay.
So the main problem is we have therefore refused to factor our customary acquisitions and proprietorship of land and looked at the commercial aspect of it. I will tell you, for instance, back home, boundaries were meant for purpose of socio-economic purposes of the area. If there's a tree, if there's a certain, until that becomes a property of the two people who are bordering each other. But when you come and you parcel it out in a manner of science, science excludes customary traditions. And therefore that becomes a component.
Yes.
But coming to the lost titles, it is because human beings are scrambling for that resource. It is not something that is going away today. We have tried to digitize. And by then the digitization process was in fact being done by the military.
So it's...
and even that did not help up to today. So it means that the endemic problem is not going to go away. Yes, technology will help. I think we should digitize. But even the process of digitization...
I had, former CS here of lands, Farida, was here some years ago talking about digitization of the land, all manner of things. But we still have people infiltrating in the system and... when you're digitizing land, you use human beings to input information. There must be some input of a certain information. The wrong information is going to be put. You just need to find your way so that that information you want to be put is put. As you put it, is even in the good book, the issue of promised land, it was all about land. It was all about there. But Solomon said, all is vanity until you, All right, so ladies and gentlemen, the issue of the deputy president impeachment is here. And let me take you through some of the grounds. One is violation of Article 10 of the national values and principles of governance. That is also in violation of Articles 147, 148, 174, 186, and 189. Also, violation, that is Article, exactly, let me continue. It's also that he's being accused of corruptly and unlawfully acquiring assets using taxpayers' money. That is one of the accusations leveled against the deputy president. Again, it's violation of both national and international law. Again, undermining National Cohesion and Integration Act, violation of Anti-Corruption and Economic Crimes Act. There's also another one, violation of the Proceeds of Crime and Money Laundering Act, violation of the Penal Code and the Leadership and Integrity Act. And finally, unjustifiably and unlawfully making scathing attacks. So let's start. These are a myriad of accusations against the deputy president. And the MPs are now hell-bent that he has to go home. So let me start with you, Lucy. With all these accusations, all of them read to him one by one. I mean, this is just too much for one person.
Now, the question is, all these accusations, I'm sure they did not, although I'm not saying that I'm for what the deputy president is doing. Those things did not happen like in one day or last week or just the day they decided to. If it's violation, the violations must have started step by step. Why were they not stopping him? Why were they not asking? Until Gachagua himself started talking. The DP is when he started talking, is when now they start talking about impeachment. When the impeachment started looming is when we knew, and this is when they started talking about all this. If those accusations are true, then it is bad. I can attest to some of them, especially like dividing Kenyans and being a DP of a section of people, always talking about my people. This is a guy who is supposed to be a national leader, a national DP, a DP for everyone. What he is purporting is that all regions should have their own DP to present their issues. Now the Mount Kenya is broken into two. The Mount Kenya East is saying, oh, he is not also presenting our issues. We need someone to present our issues. So I have to blame the members of parliament here. because all these accusations did not just happen in one day.
Yeah.
If they saw them happening, they should have talked about it. Maybe we would have saved something. Maybe these divisions would not be there. Maybe they would have even helped the president and his deputy to work together and say, hey, something is happening here. DP, you need to slow down. Where are they? Were they planning? Is it intentional? Yeah. Was it like intention? They were like, when is this going to happen? And it is actually like it is being planned. It is intention. Last week, you saw some women endorsing Waiguru. So they are in readiness of a new DP. So this is something that has been planned.
You mean?
Yes.
That was the third meeting.
Sorry?
That was the third meeting in Kirinyaga.
No, they endorsed her.
And you think it's...
And now they endorse this person, the endorsing is from the mountain. That means now, just in case this one goes, because he has to go, like they are saying. We saw Gichungwa Jana yesterday. He's from the mountain. He's saying, for sure, I was the first one even to put my signature. So he is like on his way out. Were they planning for him to go out? Is there noise of impeachment? Is it because they really care about him not
injuring? I think the G7
injuring?
had a meeting in Machakos a month or two ago.
Who?
The G7 summit.
Yeah.
Whatever happened in Kirinyaga was a G7 summit.
But
They
still,
started in Homa Bay, they went to Machakos
but still
County.
they are Kenyans. They are also Kenyans.
Could we treat it as just a coincidence that this is happening and they also had a G7 summit in Kirinyaga?
Then why endorse Waiguru?
The same happened in Machakos.
No, why endorse Waiguru? This one, they were particularly saying to be DP when DP is impeached. So it's like they knew. This is something which has been planned.
Okay.
Yeah.
Daniel, politics is a crazy thing. I mean, the way you look at it, from whichever part you look at it, but when you look at all these allegations leveled against the deputy president, what do you make of this? Heavy. Some of them are, not all of them are constitutional accusations. Yes.
And it's not the first time. I mean, some of these, they lack a clear merit on its substance on itself. Because, like I've said, us sitting here, probably some of us are affiliated to different political factions. Some of us are having different orientations and opinion. But looking at it from a Kenyan perspective, Victor, tell me who in that House, National Assembly, can be exonerated from some of those accusations. Parliament in itself should be dissolved because it is now not even constitutional even as we speak, for not meeting 2/3 gender. So these, we are talking about an unconstitutional House trying to impeach somebody. So there are so many fronts that then we can take, if it is a matter of legal conjuncture, political issues that are taking place right now. But given the context that we are talking about the impeachment of a deputy president, and this is what we kept. This has been a debate for 2 weeks now, whether it's the right time for the country to be having a conversation of impeachment. And I saw your headlines, you're putting it there very clearly. Is it politics or is something that is being a distraction? Every time there is a huge debate on a national discourse at this particular magnitude, the question I keep asking myself as a Kenyan is, what are we being distracted from? What is it that is not really concluded? That a matter that really it's not important, is not a priority to Kenyans is being put to stage. So going into it, Victor, I have put myself to understand that there might be issues. And every one of us who is delving into politics, we all know politics is local, is contextual. Any one of these particular party principles, Victor, goes back to their backyard. They speak their mother tongue, right? Every one of them. You meet honorable members of parliament, members of governors, going back to their backyard. How would you address, the people there? Honorable Raila Odinga goes back to Nyanza. He speaks to a local person there. The president goes back to his backyard. He speaks to the people in a language that they understand. Yeah. So sometimes I look at this particular accusation. Is it a matter of exaggeration? Even if it's a matter of, being told about the violation of Article 10, probably that is what they are saying, is that he probably not a uniting factor. He is speaking about, certain points or certain regions for a long time better than other regions, and to the office, what is expected of him as someone who should be showing that he is a face of a national unity, because that is the presidency I keep on mentioning. So has he gone to the extremes and probably now drawn back his office, doing things that is not in line with office? That is probably a discourse. But for me, I'm looking at this in terms of its merits. And I'm not here to quantify whether he should be impeached or not. I am just saying that there is no honor amongst the thieves. Everyone is culpable here. Everyone, if you read out all those charges, and just like you keep on mentioning about, the promised land is biblical. You mentioning about what is vanity is biblical in Ecclesiastes. I would draw you to the attention where Jesus is meeting about the woman who was accused and wanted to be stoned. And he asked, he who is clean, let them do what? Cast the first stone. Amongst these guys, these members of parliament, those particular senators, including from the top to down, who is clean on these particular issues? Let us ask ourselves then. If it's a matter of that conversation, let's begin to ask who amongst these people these charges cannot be a level against them, Victor.
Victor,
right.
maybe, is it okay you allow me to ask him a question?
After a break? You can ask that question, then we'll answer after the break.
Yeah.
Ask the question.
So my question maybe would be to you. I've really tried to listen, and usually when you listen, you want to pick a point. You want to have a take home, and I would like for me to have a take home. I'd like to ask you maybe one question. According to you, this impeachment is not. It's hurriedly, and it's not worth the process right now. Is it that you feel like the deputy president is being victimized and they should not be taken through the process? Or maybe what is your view? Because you have used a number of words that I'm trying to pick one.
Okay.
Is it that you don't want him to be impeached, or you feel like impeached, or you feel like he's been victimized, or you feel like there are other ways to do it?
Very
like
good.
you are for the DP not to be impeached.
That question to be answered
I would answer it
immediately after this break.
At least we should know that there is honor among thieves. There is honor.
What
There is honor.
There is honor.
Which one?
The dishonor is to the
There
one
is
who
no
is
honor
caught.
amongst thieves.
No,
Let
just
me tell
which
you.
one? No,
Let me tell you something.
I agree.
Because
Let me tell you something.
Because
Let me tell you something.
you're stealing my time,
Yes.
so you don't have any honor. We'll be right back.
I am in love. What? With your suti.
My name is Posire Marupe, and I was told to come to this class.
No wonder. You know, some of us pay our own school fees. We do not have the so-called daddies to pay for us.
Can you imagine me and Will Smith are literally buddies? Sorry, Jada.
How would you like if I pay your fee alias?
Kilanzwin, that is not enough even for dowry.
You concentrate. Who is paying your dowry?
Hapa nyuma mkae na huyu mama.
Umesema nini? Nimekuchagia mtori ama umesema ina nyama.
Unanipulipia nini?
Hebu ongea bila kulia.
Mheshimiwa. Angalia tena nimesahau mahali nafaa kwenda.
Madhalao ni wewe kuniangalia mimi, msichana mdogo.
Wewe hata ni ile maitwa generation boom.
Mandasi inatoka England. Crystal Palace. Inakuja kama inawaka mosi na bovu nitume bovu.
Mama tutakula tano. Sasa niruhusu nipigie nduru hapa.
Enda ukipiga nduru hivi.
Okay. So at least there is some honor. There is some.
I hope it's just kick out.
Oh my goodness. Okay.
Delete you.
But that's your opinion.
Let's start from where we should. There are leaders who over the weekend spoke. Perhaps, Director, we can have...
I was asked a question.
I'll come back to that.
All right.
Kindly. Director, just play so that you can get context on what you're talking about at this point.
It's true, there is an impeachment motion against the Deputy President, and as Member of Parliament for Kikuyu, I have already appended my signature to it. And I will support that impeachment motion to stop a process where government is being undermined and sabotaged from within government. Ili yale mambo tuliwaambia tutawafanyia tuweze kuyatekeleza.
Assembly Speaker Moses Wetangula Sunday added his voice to the debate.
Ikiwa ni mimi, nitolewe. Akiwa ni Makau, atolewe. Akiwa ni Kamene, atolewe. Ikiwa ni wewe, atolewe. Because we want peace for everybody.
This as Wiper Party leader Kalonzo Musyoka slammed the impeachment attempt, accusing the government of attempting to divert the public's attention on public affairs matters.
For the 25th of June, 2024, stands out as a very important milestone when the youth of this country, the Gen Zs, literally liberated their country. And therefore we have to build on those gains. Anything else can only be diversionary.
Na ndio nimepita hapa, nitapita hapo Runyenjes, Chuka mpaka Meru. Niongee na watu wetu waniambie kama wanataka tukae tukiwa kitu kimoja.
A day after the country's second-in-command dead legislators were reported to have signed his impeachment motion.
Hakuna mtu mwingine anaweza nitoa kwa kazi isipokuwa nyinyi. Kweli ama uongo? Kweli ama uongo?
Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua continued with the onslaught on the lawmakers engineering his ouster, terming the motion to remove him from office as a political witch hunt.
Tufanyie watu ya Kenya kazi kwa sababu tulichaguliwa miaka miwili peke yake. Na hatujafanya ile kazi ambayo wananchi wanatarajia tufanye. Tungetaka tuombe, tupunguze maneno mingi, zote tushikane, tufanyie wa Kenya kazi. Kwa sababu hawa Kenya walituchagua wakiwa na matumaini makubwa sana. Na hawakutuchagua tupigane, turumbane, tupanganie, tukue na maneno ambayo haifai.
Rigathi, who joined the faithfuls at the church service in Meru County, urged the country to pray for him and his boss, President William Ruto, to overcome the current turbulence within the ruling party.
Bishop, mimi sina maneno mengi, mimi nimeshukuru sana kwa maombi. Please continue praying for our country. Let us pray for our president. Let us pray for the government. Let us pray for our leaders. It is my hope that sanity will prevail. We tone down on politics of division, siasa ya kumalizana, siasa ya furugu.
Gachagua stated the government is yet to realize most of its goals and leaders ought to forego politics so that they can be achieved.
And as we do whatever we are doing in the political space, it is my prayer that we should always respect the will of the people. The will of the people is supreme. Elections were done. President and I were elected on the joint ticket for 5 years. And that is the will of the people. Let us not fall into the temptation of overturning the will of the people through other methods.
This comes as Gachagua alleged that his political detractors were hell-bent on kicking him out of office while giving support the impeachment motion.
All right, so ladies and gentlemen, you've heard different leaders speaking, starting from Kimani Ichung'wah, Majority Leader, Speaker of the National Assembly, Moses Wetangula, Kalonzo Musyoka, Leader of Wiper, and now DP Rigathi Gachagua. Daniel, I'll come back to you. Your question still stands. But Wakili, all these allegations are heavy allegations. And when you hear this leader speak, something is apparent that is now cast on stone. What do you make?
Well, the allegations that have been leveled against the DP, that's a charge sheet. containing charges against him, and all of them are valid. All of them are valid because they're true. To the extent that it is in the public domain on how he's characterized himself. You see, a character comes out after many incidents of a behavior. It is from there that I personally feel he's not my deputy president. He represents a part of Mlima. He doesn't talk about the problems I have or we have at home, the roads, early child pregnancy. He doesn't talk about the drought. He doesn't talk about the famine. He doesn't address Maasai issues. He's not addressing Samburu issues. He's not addressing Kamba issues. He is addressing Mlima issues. If you go cheap, we'll treat you as much, because that's your character. So if we've elevated you into deputy presidency, elevated, not yourself, we did. But then you abuse the office by consistently, persistently, insistently, continuously talking about a certain area in the country every day, using our taxpayers' money. We're not going to feel sympathy for you. You see, trying to derive sympathy out of this situation by saying, we pray for you. I'm not going to pray for him. I'm not going to pray for him. He started it. He started by disrespecting me, that I don't matter having put him in the office, but it matters that his people should not be touched. It is Kenyans not to be touched, not a certain people not to be touched. So he's basically emotionalized the entire nation against him. You can't go back and beg for prayers. Prayer to who? To the same God that you abuse when you've been given power to that office? If power is given by God, then he's abusing God himself. So the point is, we are not going to sympathize. Personally, I will not. In fact, I'm going to pray the opposite. The reason is, he's already demonstrated to me that he can't represent me. You see, we have biases. Completely, as human beings, we are prone to biases. Meaning, therefore, as an ethnic group, we have to have biases. As a clan, we have to have biases. As a profession, lawyers, doctors, we have to have biases. But I tell you that those biases ordinarily are contextual. During politics, you definitely have to look at certain things. Has this guy gone to school? Is he a Muslim? Is he a Christian? It's allowed under the Constitution to have certain biases, content of which the sum total of the more the bias, then the person gets into office. But when it is time to serve as it is now, why then pronounce yourself as a leader of a certain place? If he's saying that it is time to serve Kenyans. Wasn't it time to serve Kenyans when he told me on my face that certain people in this country must not be touched? I'm a professional, I'm a lawyer, so why should he tell me that? In a sense, he was abusing the office that I took him to serve me, and to serve many other Kenyans. Suffice to say, the charge on abuse of office therefore stands.
So do you think it's politics or a diversionary tactic?
It is both. It is both politics and works for any other political issue. The issue here is, this is a legal process because it is in law. But then when law and politics fuse or merge, then it becomes a very big force. When law and politics are in competition and there's friction, it is politics that is dominant. Because politics is emotional, whereas law is logical. So when you emotionalize such an issue, the whole country rallies against something or for something.
Which I think it is the situation.
So here, what you need to do
very
is...
emotionalized.
Yes, you need to emotionalize it to take traction. And therefore, that we are discussing because it gets emotional. Look at the way I've presented it. Yes, there's emotional touch in it, for the reason that he emotionalized it himself. You see, he started something that he cannot deal with now.
Daniel, chime into that.
Which I think Wakili has admitted. Anything that is emotionalized sometimes loses logic. And that to some extent. And that is what I was
the legal
talking.
Bit of it
You see, the legal bit of it, that's what I'm saying. If there are prosecutorial powers and institutions that have called, forth his, the likes of his affiliates to, to be responsible, for some issues that are accused of, that process is still going on. Who knows whether he's accountable to that process or not? Those remains allegations, like you're saying. So secondly, I was asked a question here, and I said I was going to answer it, that I think it is a misplaced priority where we stand as a country. We've soon just got up from the protests that have been mentioned here. There are issues that were raised there. The quest for institutional reforms that were raised. And these were pointed directly to where the buck stops with. I think the president has tried so much enough to place some political equilibrium, some of these issues that were mentioned. Tensions were quelled down, and there's a process to address some of these needs. Just as we were doing this, then allegations around whether we are having our airport still as a country, a very important national asset to this country, that the issues that should be answerable to now as Kenyans. And then we bring up an impeachment motion. That's what I'm saying. It could be something worth listening to, but I don't think it's something that should be given a priority to this country. Because it's not important as what Kenyans should be treated to right now. But I'm not saying it's not something that is not important. I'm saying we should not be prioritizing matters that are not important to the citizens of this country. You understand? That was my point. That was my...
Let me ask Let me say, before Ashika take it up. When he said Haji has to go, in the manner that he prosecuted him in public,
yes,
was it wrong or right at that time? So why is it right or why is it wrong, according to him now? And he mentioned Haji in the terms that he did last time. When he prosecuted Haji in the public court of opinion, it was wrong. He had ways of addressing it. Yes. Now that we are prosecuting him in public, it should be right. If it was right then, it should be right even now.
Why is it right? Why is it right to question the deputy president? Why is it not right to answer as to why certain number of Kenyans have not still given justice until now?
Let me hear
the
from
protest.
That's
why is that not important to
valid
ask?
Question, Dan.
Yeah. Why is that important to ask?
Yes, Lucy.
The Kenyan DP is just trying to play victim.
Yeah.
He's just trying to, playing with people's emotions. He's asking very well about the Haji's case.
Yes.
What did he do to him in public? When he became the deputy, immediately he started telling Kenyans the government belongs to some people, it belongs to stakeholders, to shareholders.
I'm told your mic has a problem. I'll fix it.
Okay.
Okay, you can fix it.
What I'm saying, like I earlier said, let the DP not play victim. And the matter of samaki oza kutoka kwa kichwa. When we have a dysfunctional office of the deputy president is a matter of priority. So I'm trying to tell you is that the matter of the impeachment of the deputy president is very pertinent and it should be prioritized and given the attention that it has been given. Remember when the DP was getting into power, he had glaring cases that were waived, that it was acquitted. He had glaring cases when he got into power. So he got away with it. He has not forgotten about that. My main issue with the deputy president is these allegations were already communicated to him. When they were having issues, when he was being told he's a local leader, he's a what leader. Instead, he went to the mountain and put off his phones for 2 weeks. That was the time he was supposed to solve. Yes, it is good to pray, but you need to do something about it. God will not come today and stand here and give you solutions to your problems. You have to work towards solving those problems. What did he do? He went to the mountain.
So what is this diversionary tactic, and what are we being diverted away from?
He is diverting.
The question I'm asking,
that is the pertinent question. I have not finished what I was saying.
No, we are going to answer it. It's not a difficult question.
What is the diversion? There should be.
The diversion or no diversion, the deputy president has a problem and he needs to be impeached. And the Kenyans don't want him, beginning from the leaders of Mount Kenya. I am a Kenyan, he is a Kenyan, he is a Kenyan, everybody has an opinion.
There is no opinion poll.
You know, when your opinion is divergent, does not mean other people cannot think differently.
And you can't think on behalf of Kenyans.
I have the freedom. I am a Kenyan, my 2 sons are Kenyans, and we all don't want the deputy president.
I am a Kenyan too, and I have not said that
you are a Kenyan with a divergent idea. You are a Kenyan with a divergent idea. So it does not mean that your opinion has to prevail because other people feel differently.
You too. That's what I'm saying.
You are just one of the small percentage that insists that the deputy president still makes sense.
And we are Kenyans that you mentioned.
And it does not make sense in this country anymore.
And we are Kenyans. That's what I'm saying. I agree with Daktari. When you say Kenyans, there is no... Sometimes we speak for records. And you say we are on a national set. And, our opinions are accountable to people. When you say that other Kenyans or Kenyans do not want, how can you attribute that? Which Kenyans do not want him? I am not exonerating anyone here. If you have an opinion, and I respect every opinion, collectively, where has Kenyans said that we do not want the deputy president?
And opinion polls have shown that a majority normally
now that brings my
does it.
question of...
If there was an opinion poll yesterday, because I was just responding to that.
No,
as
let
Wakili
him
just
address
said.
that, yeah.
All right? Number two, as Wakili picked it up, you asked a very important question, and I alluded to, what are we being distracted from? That is the question we keep on asking ourselves here. While we agree that there are merits towards that impeachment motion, and I agree to some extent. That is what I was saying. If you stand on a national stage and represent something that is towards like your ethnic community, that is a question that should be asked. When the allegation of investigation against you and you are sitting in the office of that caliber, that is a question that has been asked. But why is it that you, amongst the many, including the parliament that want to impeach you, that the courts have found unconstitutional? Why are Kenyans not questioning that?
So there is no diversion. There's nothing we have
the question is.
So what's your point?
Right?
What's your point?
What's the point?
I think it's a double speak, misplaced priorities, and that is what I've been saying on this set.
Let me explain.
Let me explain.
Yes, Lucy.
The DP is distracting people. He started it.
Not the other way around.
Not the other way around. It's not even the members of parliament who started the impeachment process is the one who started talking about. What are we being distracted from? Kenyans are suffering. They have so many things we should be talking about right now. Just a while ago, you saw an appeal of medical appeal for children here on the TV. This is an issue that is affecting a regular Kenyan in Mount Kenya and elsewhere. Kenyans. We are deviating. We should be talking about the education system. Remember the system which was brought about the university students. That one is pending as per now. Here you are talking about 367 land being, titles being stolen. That is an issue. And most of them, like I said, is affecting the older people who cannot read, who cannot go to, do you say it is put in digitalized? They don't even know what is digital. They have not been educated on it. Those are issues. Yeah? Older persons are suffering. People are suffering. Kenyans are talking about the stealing of the airport.
Exactly.
That is an issue
Exactly.
which is there. If he's a really serious DP for every Kenyan, he should be telling us what is happening with the Adani case.
He mentioned that in the interview.
Why is he so selfish? It's just about himself. Why is he so selfish going around the Mount Kenya, short waving in local languages? I was so happy last night. The media from Mount Kenya East, they came. He's trying to speak. They are talking. He's trying to speak in the vernacular. Some of them are talking in Kiswahili so that Kenyans can hear. Why is it about him all the time? We need people who are serious. He needs to be impeached. If that impeachment, he brought it. It's not the impeachment which he started. It is him who is telling us about the impeachment. We never even heard the president talk about it. I'm not defending any of them.
But
this one is not a DP for Kenyans.
The question is, politics or diversion didactic? Wakili, you said you'll answer that.
Yes.
I'm interested.
First, I want to say this. Our laws are this way. That the fact that the prosecutor is a thief does not mean he can prosecute you. So the prosecutor could have stolen. You could have stolen. He's put there as a prosecutor who will take you through the charges. So you can't accuse Parliament of prosecuting him for being illegally there. We are saying it is mandated in law for now to prosecute him. He should prosecute him. And that's a mandate in law. So let us deal with the context of the constitution of Parliament, if it is illegal or legal, in a different issue. The issue that is clear here is the Deputy President guilty of the charges that have been leveled against him? It is simple, and he'll defend himself. He'll have the time. I have said, however, the content of those charges is both legal and both political. And he, when he got into the office of Deputy Presidency, knew there are consequences, including an impeachment. He knew that there can be an impeachment any other day. So that he behaved in a manner to derive and invite an impeachment is solely a personal issue. It is not for the public whatsoever. And if he's guilty of those charges, criminal charges and any other charges are also personal. They're not for me. So he has to deal with this issue as he invited unto himself. And we all agree he invited those issues into himself. The second issue, are we being diverted from something? Yes and no. For the Puritan approach of the fact that the Deputy President committed those offenses, I think there's no diversion there. But for the fact that there are issues that are pending that were getting hotter by the day, including the Adani issue, yes, it takes a backseat at the behest of the impeachment of the Deputy President. But it doesn't mean that we shall not revisit the Adani issue, or we cannot do it now. In fact, wait, we can do it concurrently. During the Gen Z's protest, for instance, we as Kenyans behind the Gen Z's said so many things that need to be fixed, including the decision of the cabinet, including ethnicization of employment in this country, including many other issues. And some of them were pushed together. We can push the Adani issue, we can also push the DP issue. So we are not going to stop pushing the impeachment of the deputy on account of Adani. Adani remains there, and the deputy president has to go home on account of the fact that he abused office. So what we are trying to say is this: there's nothing here. We should emotionalize on account of the fear that we are concentrating on the DP against anything else. We as Kenyans are not forgetting all those
So the
issues.
question I want to ask all of you now, what I can hear, apart from Daniel, is the relationship is now not so good between the boss and his deputy.
No. The relationship between the deputy president and Kenyans.
Kenyans.
You know, which Kenyans? Yes, I will answer you which Kenyans. I can answer which Kenyans. Kenyans are represented by parliament. If Kenyans are represented by parliament,
so what if?
And the parliament has a problem with the
same Kenyans. When somebody talks of Kenyans, we do not mean 100%. When we talk of the mountain, there are people who are for the DP as we speak. So when we talk of the mountain against the DP, we are not saying all the people of the mountain.
All right.
What we are trying to say is a percentage of the mountain that is 80-90, which is a higher percentage.
And the MPs are representatives.
Which you are not sure
people.
about the representation.
We are sure.
Who is not sure?
We are sure.
So how can you not be sure about representation?
There's something called the national psyche. There's something called the national psyche.
You can feel where the truth is. If now the more is generating, how much is generated? Let me tell you, Victor, I will keep saying we are representative democracy. The people that we elected to represent the views that I'm hearing on the set are still on indictment, whether they represent us properly or not. Right? You understand? And that is why I said no one can attribute that kind of representation to the current parliament we have. That is still on indictment.
The 300 members of parliament are wrong.
What was the issue around the rejection of finance bill that led to the protest is the nature of representation. You cannot quote it here as a representation, as a legitimate representation, as the current things are.
So I want to follow.
If that is the voice of Kenyans you keep on saying, that I think is very misplaced.
I am telling you, even if today we got the opinion of Kenyans without the MPs, you go around asking about what do you want Kachawa. Mount Kenya do not want Kachawa.
They do not want him.
That is your age. And yes,
he's impeached or not, his case is done. He's impeached or not, there's no way out. They are going to work with the president.
Allow me to ask this question. So we discussed that. So the motion is tabled before the House tomorrow, 2:30 p.m.
Yeah.
It will go through the process, legislative, etc., etc. So what if it doesn't get impeached? Up to this point.
If it doesn't
very
get
quickly
impeached,
because of time.
Trust you me, at the level where the impeachment motion is, as I speak right now, at the level it is as good as not there. It'll be better not in that seat than being there.
No. But
so
what
even
if?
What if Kenyans will still have a problem? Kenyans will still have a problem. He'll still be in an office, but he will not be having any duties. That is what will happen.
Okay.
And because you have been rejected, you know, even in a family setup, you are a rejected wife or husband. You are just there physically. And is that what you want? You lose out on what you want. Because you will be there physically, but mutually you are not there. So what am I trying to say? It is better for him to try and redeem himself. To try and redeem himself in the sense that, can he resign? Because most of the Kenyans are against him. They do not want him, including the people of his backyard. And nothing is about to change that as of now.
Okay.
Now, if it's not...
Let me
put it this way.
So what if he doesn't get impeached?
Let me put it this way. You see, in law, there's something called irredeemable
And then the
damage.
question number two, because of time again, what if the president takes a back seat and says, you know what, gentlemen, this issue, we have to stop it, we have to work for Kenya.
Yes.
I'd love you to call us here after this.
No.
Let me
explain.
Let me explain. There's something called irredeemable damage. You see, I have explained here, and I want to explain again. There's what you call legitimacy and legality. Legally, he can continue to be the Deputy President of the Republic of Kenya. Legitimacy is different. It's where the people then treat you in the context of the power of the seat. The example I gave you last time is, If you are a father of the house and you don't provide, you come home drunk, you beat your wife, you beat your children, you abuse them, you lose legitimacy of the house. When you walk into the compound, people run away because you don't provide and behave like a father. So because he has not behaved like a father of the nation, a deputy father of the nation for that matter, he does not represent the Turkanas, the Samburus, he represents part of Mount Kenya. He has lost legitimacy. We are having this debate because he's legally the deputy president, but he has lost legitimacy to represent some of us and any other tribe in this country.
So what if he doesn't get impeached?
The point is he continues to be legally the deputy president. He loses legitimacy to rule the country as a deputy president.
What will be the political ramification if the president...
Means there's nothing he can give. For instance, let me explain to you.
What will be the political ramification, all political terms?
Yes, let me explain.
I would answer that.
Let me explain. In politics, especially at that stage in a level he is in, you either offer numbers for elections, numbers or money, or both. He gave money. He didn't give any numbers from
This is
Mount
an
Kenya.
allegation. We can't quantify that, like Wakili.
Let me explain. Let me clarify.
If he doesn't, if he's not,
as KBC,
he didn't give any numbers. He's not the one.
Okay.
He's not the one who gave President Ruto the numbers.
He's not the one who gave President Ruto the numbers. And is it the only one from the mountain?
Victor,
Professor Kindiki is there.
If he's not impeached tomorrow, something happens, it will never be the same again for Kenyans. The relationship between him and the president will never be the same. The relationship between him and the members of parliament all over the country will never be the same. Then how can he continue there working alone? He'll be a loner. You'll be wasting our taxpayers' money because you'll not be representing us Kenyans.
And I ask a question. So what if the president who stops the impeachment process?
But it will never be the same.
It's even better. It's even better because it becomes a lame deputy president. And therefore it's checked.
And according to me, the president cannot undermine 300 members of parliament who have impended their signatures and then decide, now I'm the boss. They are not robots. No. Those members of parliament are not robots. For them to go there and impend their signatures, for him to be impeached, and it makes sense, and the president was aware of that. So there's no way out he's going to treat
the president can also undermine the Kenyans who are against it.
At least you have attributed.
The only thing he did was to fight alcohol in Mount Kenya. That was not a national thing that he was doing.
What will the political
Not the joblessness of the youth.
It's not him, it's the wife.
I'm interested in getting this.
The wife was pushing those things, and when the budget was...
I want, because
you
of time
have confirmed, because this is a national television and a national broadcast.
What will be the political turnaround?
You have confirmed that there are a number of issues that are thrown in this set that cannot be substantiated. I think you've even exonerated, and this is what I was saying. You cannot substantiate the Kenyans you are calling here to be supporting a motion. How do you know that Kenyans are supporting that motion? And unless you have, that's what I'm saying, you have scientifically proven that majority of Kenyans have supported the impeachment. Until now, Victor, you're a media house here. You've not flashed that particular attribution, right? Or any other media stations.
You're just ignoring the current affairs.
Some of these things are thrown upside and said, to be, like Wakili said, to weaponize emotions here. No. But they're not true. Secondly, you've asked, what happens? All right?
Yes.
There is nothing that will happen. Kenyans would still question, you know, what is the performance of the government we have in accordance to the issues that were previously raised. And that was saying, from my view as a Kenyans, this is a distraction. It's not even something that we should be giving a priority to. While I say it is important to continue asking for a debate as to the position of the deputy president, not only him, to the positions of a number of elected officials that we have in this country. You know, and as a Kenyan, I'm interested to know. I was talking and I was just listening when you were talking kindly. So one of the things that I'm saying is it is quite important to interrogate from the top to the down. And you've asked, what happens if the president, and one of us have said here, that he cannot bypass the decision of over 300 members of parliament. Back to what I have said. It is the same over 300 members of parliament that passed the finance bill that Kenyans did not accept. They are still the same ones. Who tells you they're exonerating themselves now because they want to bypass? I have my problem. It's the same parliament that we have.
Okay, he said it's content. He said it's
the same one that we have. So it doesn't. Kenyans will move on.
Let me come in just for a minute.
Just a minute. He's saying it's okay to have a dysfunctional deputy governor.
Let me explain for a minute.
Even a dysfunctional parliament, a lot of institutions.
Okay.
Let me explain for a minute.
We're all out of order.
Yeah.
Out of order.
We're not going to work with with a dysfunctional
Number one is that to say Kenyans, why the question as to whether Kenyans have spoken as to their relationship with the deputy president they have, representative democracy is such that members of parliament, more than 300, have said as much that there's an intention to impeach him and have leveled charges against him. The truth, therefore, is that it is leaning, it's the voice of Kenyans to the representation as it is. Number two, law is a science. The fact that there was an issue with Parliament passing the finance bill or not, and that there was a problem with Kenyans, does not make it constant that anything further they do becomes vulgarized on account of the fact that they passed the finance bill. So the conduct of passing the finance bill was against Kenyans, and it got emotional, and it went where we know it went. The next day, they pass a bill to, you know, to fund higher education in this country. Does not make it wrong. So anything that they do further, you'd not continue to accuse them on the past. That's why I'm saying law is a science. If you commit a wrong now, that's a precedent now. And if you do something else, it must be judged in the context. The judgment in the context is not the finance bill. It is, did the deputy president commit the offences? And we therefore hires to go through the charges.
And it shouldn't be historical.
Allow me to.
It is a precedence, Victor. Sorry, it is a precedence that we set in this republic that makes us either trust you or not. So when we are beginning to question the performance, the persona, and the office of deputy president, I said that debate should be devolved to other agencies as well. There is no one that we are exonerating from this role we are having.
In SHA. Can we go and register in SHA if you're not registered?
It was quashed.
You still want deputy president is not a governor, it's not an MCA to be to be devolved. It's a national issue.
Yes.
I've just said the discussion to be devolved.
I wish he was even addressing joblessness in the mountain, because he's talking of alcohol, and he's not asking why are the youth taking alcohol, because